Okay, so this is a not fun subject, guys, and it's going to be very upsetting for me and anybody out there who's not cold and heartless. I don't I don't care if you like reptiles or not, but we're about to watch a video. I'm gonna pull it back up here because I just taken it off the screen. Um, hit back to find. And this is Camp Cannon's video on this that came out 5 days ago, and because I didn't have the bell clicked again, even though I've fixed this numerous times so that I supposedly should have the bell clicked for him, it somehow undoes the bell. I don't know why. Um, I didn't hear about this till just now. So, okay. My early understanding going into this about what happened. Florida just recently changed laws regarding pet reptiles. Now, to be fair, they have been having a very big problem with invasive boa constrictors and pythons and other various reptile species that get released down there because people are stupid. They do that everywhere, unfortunately. People get exotic pets, they don't really have any idea how to take care of them properly, and then those exotic pets get thrown out in the wild because they don't want to kill them because they feel bad, and they don't want to rehome them because it's very hard and very expensive to rehome some of these animals, and they probably got them illegally anyway. So then you end up with alligators and crocodiles in your rivers, and pythons and various other things that shouldn't be living where they are, released, become invasive creatures. And they are very ecologically damaging. The wild ones that are released and become wild and then breed more. So I can understand why they want to ban them as pets, and that's okay. Um, however, um, they did promise when they made the ban of pythons, and a few other species, to my knowledge, in the state of Florida, that anybody who currently owned any, as long as they were not actively like breeding them, were allowed to keep their animals for the life of the animal. And breeders had a reasonable amount of time, to my understanding, I'm not certain of that part, um, with which they were to stop breeding, finish breeding whatever they've got already breeding, and not breed more, um, and were to like vacate the state, relocate their animals, whatever they wanted to do. But any animal that was in the state before the date that the law went into effect was supposed to be alive, um, and allowed to remain so for the remainder of their lives as, their owner's pet. And the owners would be free to take them and leave the state and various other things. So, that sounds somewhat reasonable on the surface. However, it wasn't necessarily the legally kept animals that were being dumped. So even the ban is questionable in whether or not it will help anything. I personally don't believe it will. I think if anything, it probably made things a lot worse because a lot of people probably hurriedly released their animals to prevent what exactly happened to this unfortunate gentleman, not Camp Kennan, but we'll get into that in a minute. I may need alcohol for this. Um, and what happened was a legal owner who lived in the state, to my knowledge, beforehand, and we'll probably learn more about that in the video. This is all just beforehand knowledge of the situation before I've even watched this video, because I already know what's going to be in it, and I know that it is going to be very, very upsetting for me. to watch because I am very, very much a friend to animals more than people. So I feel their pain more than I feel the pain of people. I'm more empathetic towards animals than humans, is what I'm saying. So, my understanding of the situation as it stands at the moment was this gentleman owned quite a large number of pythons and legally kept them and was keeping them in good condition. And was even watching after, I believe, a boa constrictor that was pregnant for somebody else. And the boa constrictors were not part of the ban. This boa was perfectly legal to own and was the collateral damage of a bunch of jackasses, to put it like in the Florida Wildlife Commission, I believe is the organization's name. So if you wish to direct any indignation or so on towards them, I would not blame you. I intend to make some calls myself. I'm upset already, and I'm going to be even more so by the end of this video. I'm going to probably end up spending time tomorrow making very angry, hopefully very level-headed, phone calls to express my story. Because these Fish and Wildlife officers, whom normally I would be on the side of, did some very stupid and very unethical things, and illegal, in my opinion. They went to a man's house who was actively trying to relocate his animals out of the state. Again, free understanding. These may not be correct details. We will get into that when we watch this video in a minute. And proceeded to then, instead of taking the animals and taking them to a facility, allowing time for appeals, things like that, they proceeded to horrendously and graphically euthanize them in his home, in his presence. And were gleeful and not nice about it. And the particular method that they used, I'm told, is a bolt gun, which my understanding of in advance, because I didn't want to look one up, is what was used in No Country for Old Men by that one serial killer, or at least a version of it, that just punches a hole through the head and leads to death. But it's supposed to be used in a very specific, very controlled manner that you cannot use on a moving snake that is actively trying to get away from you because you're being an asshole. So it was not an ethical choice of euthanasia. And it is not pretty. It is. This video is going to be very, very upsetting. If they show any of the footage from what happened, especially, it is going to be very, very upsetting. But Kenan is usually very level-headed. He can be just as furious as I can with something, and has this incredible way of keeping somewhat cool about it. So I'm hoping that this has a lot of information in it, and is a positive video. I'm pretty sure it is, because that's just the type of person Kenan is. But he's also not the type to pull his punches, so he's probably going to show footage, because there was footage of what happened to these poor animals, and the actions of these irresponsible dickheads. So fair warning, that may be something you see here today. This is not a normal stream, and I don't I don't even know if I'll upload this video to my YouTube with my thoughts on this or not. I probably will, because I am also not the type to pull my punches. So we're going to watch this, and we may need to stop. I may even throw up at some point. I am not going to feel okay after this. I promise that after this is done, I'm going to end the stream and restart with a different title, and we will play something or do something to lighten the mood. For now, we need to just focus on something serious for a little while. So bear with me. We're going to watch this video together, and we'll stop, and I'll give my thoughts here and there as needed. I want to try and not interrupt as much of the video as possible with my vicious ramblings, because he may say something right after I viciously rant that is important. It would have, stopped that. So we may watch the full video, and then I will spend an amount of time sufficiently to go over the video, and we may even end up rewatching parts of it a few times, just to clarify the information. And at the end of the video, I will find contact information for the necessary authorities in Florida, so like the Fish and Wildlife Commission themselves, so that anybody who wishes to can contact them and be nice. But understandably, you're probably going to be as upset as I am, so just don't be dickheads, don't harass people, but do call and do express your displeasure with what happened, but do so tactfully and calmly as you can. I know I intend. Let's get started. I can tell you right here, this is active footage of them conducting this, right here in the first few seconds of the video, because not only does it say that on screen, but I've seen the screenshot of this scene unfolding. This is them euthanizing the animals in a not very ethical setting, and not in an ethical way, which never should have happened. This is just wrong. I don't even think this was legal.
Tonight, a snake scandal in Florida.
I can't watch it. It's like watching someone kill my kids.
We warn you, the video is upsetting.
Some are very upset, calling what happened cruel.
I'm just going to make sure you guys can hear. Okay, back to it.
Cruel and inhumane.
Just to warn you, you may find this video disturbing.
It's the sound the owner of these snakes could not bear to hear, so he left the room. But just seconds later, Coffey's cell phone video shows shock on the officers' faces as they realize they shot the pregnant boa that Coffey says was still moving.
No! Oh my God! Why?
It was a mistake.
How? I reminded you 10 times! You just killed something that wasn't illegal.
This is just horrifying.
Did the FWC screw up here?
Absolutely, the FWC screwed up here.
I don't want this to just go away. This can't just go away. We need to have real action.
We sincerely.
I would also like to urge anybody that feels like it to even take the video that I'm going to upload to YouTube and make immediately public. It's going to be probably the only video on my entire YouTube that has any tags on it, at all, because I don't put tags on most of my stuff on YouTube. But it'll be probably a very similar title to this even, to make it easy to find. And I would urge you to take either my video, his video, anybody's videos you can, put together as much information as you can, make your own video, make this public, make it big, make it go loud. Don't let it go away.
Thank all of you happy campers out there. Your support makes a real difference in our efforts here at Camp Kennan.
I'm sure
This
that
week's
Kenan
shout-out
would feel
goes
the
to
same way
Hunter Orr.
about
Thank
this.
you for all you do and for loving reptiles.
And that's why I'm specifically using his video,
What's
because
going on, everyone? Kenan here. Feeling a little bit under the weather, but today
he is
an
so
important
level-headed,
video.
and I think he would
We're
be
talking about Buttercup,
one of the
man.
people
you
that
guys
would
know her, you love
like
her,
it.
You understand that she is a Burmese python, and Burmese pythons have become invasive in Florida. And in February of 2021, Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission instituted new rules about possessing these animals. They switched them from what was called a conditional species permit to a prohibited species permit. Now, those of you may remember that when that rule change happened, I had to go through quite a lot of hoops legally to continue to own this animal. I had the conditional species permit for many, many years. And it was a fantastic program. It enabled exhibitors like myself and snake breeders to continue to breed and sell their snakes, albeit out of state. But then for some reason, FWC thought it prudent to move them to a whole new designation, the prohibited species designation. And I basically had some new rules to follow. Number one, you can only keep the animal for commercial use if you are exhibiting the animal. Now, of course, I do a lot of YouTube videos and I do private tours here on my facility. Basically, I fell into the category that I was able to continue to own this snake because I meet the criteria to own those snakes. She has to remain indoors for the rest of her life. She can no longer come out. If you go back and look at some of the videos we used to do, we actually had the ability to bring her out and get her out into the sunlight, get her out into the big recreation pond. She would swim around and so on. You'll also notice, by the way, that she is extremely white at the moment. Matt, who is manning the camera as always, was blown away by this. This is because she is about to shed. She's got that clear scale over her eye that's become opaque and clouding. So that's one of the key ways we understand that she's about to shed.
Yeah, my own snake actually is that way a lot. It's very common in snakes that are going to shed. They go into blue, is what some people call it, because their eyes kind of turn blue. And it's really kind of cool because they'll go sort of opaque all over their body. They'll look like gray and ashy, and like new snake owners kind of get kind of scared and they start thinking their snake's fucking dying because it looks like it's kind of dying. And it's actually really cool. And I love my pet snake, and I look forward to many years of owning pet snakes. I may even get into animal breeding when I can responsibly afford and care for the animals. Someday, if I'm lucky. Just because I believe that it's more than just a hobby. Your pets are your family. So I'm just helping, in that case, if I do become a breeder. I'm not currently. But if I were to become a breeder, I would be helping other people sort of find members of their new family. And for me, that's kind of a thing I think I would like. There's a lot of ups and downs with breeding animals. There is. You lose some. Inevitably, it's especially with snakes common, where they don't fully make it through. The egg doesn't come through fully. Snakes can die laying the eggs. There's a lot of turmoil in it, which is why I'm waiting till I'm able to more responsibly care for them all. All right. That said, I'm gonna let him continue explaining.
Shed. Now, when snakes are in shed, they can become more defensive because they can't see as well. So we're not.
That's very true. My snake does that too. I've learned very quickly after getting her, she does not. For understandable reasons, like being touched when she's in blue, because they can't see, and they can also be very sensitive. Their skin itself can just be very sensitive because you're losing an entire layer of your body. I imagine that would make you a little bit antsy and a little bit ornery. So I don't blame her any. I've been bit twice in my life by a snake. Both of them were my pet snake. And both of them were recently because I, in my cockiness as having owned her long enough, was like, oh, she'll be fine. It's fine. And no, I pushed her boundaries and she bit me, rightly so. I don't blame her at all. It was entirely my fault.
I'm not going to really handle her. She's just here because kind of topic of discussion. So I'm doing this all in chronological order because I think it's important that everyone who isn't familiar with this story that we're going to discuss today understands the chronology of the laws that have been put into place here in Florida. Very, very important for everyone to understand what's going on. So as I was saying, she's a conditional species. She has to stay indoors, can no longer be outside. When a hurricane comes, she needs to be double bagged and put into a locked box. Anytime I bring her to a vet or anything for any kind of work that needs to be done on her, double bagged, locked box in a secure vehicle to be transferred.
So, just for clarification, he means fabric bag, not like trash bag. No reptile owner is that stupid. I fucking. Cloth bags, snake bags, breathable. Snakes can breathe. Even the locked container probably is allowed to have some form of an air hole or something. Snakes don't breathe as much oxygen as we do, so even if it did, they'd probably be quite some time. But just wanted to point that out. Fabric bags, so like pillowcases basically, but like special pillowcases.
She is in a very large enclosure that you guys can go back and check out the video for. You can kind of pan it. I call it, this is her snake cage, or snake cave, really. She's got water. We've got automatic watering situation here. We've got basking.
She's a very well cared for snake, and honestly, I've wanted to own
because this is where
a Burmese python since I was very little.
The rest of her life.
Because one time I went to a state fair and somebody who liked Kennen, although I don't know if they were as ethical as Kennen, kept a large number of really interesting, really awesome snakes. They had a black mamba and a few other local poisonous snakes for educational purposes. They had a Burmese python, and they would actually let you hold it and take pictures. I think they charged, but it was fine. It pays for the ability for them to be there and things like that, and it's not, especially once the snake gets used to being handled regularly, they're very chill snakes, and they're not really dangerous, so even a small child could hold one and be perfectly fine. I wouldn't say leave alone with them, just like you wouldn't leave any person alone with, a wild animal. Because snakes can never fully be domesticated. They don't have the ability to do so. They're always a little wild. Now that said, snakes that have been bred and kept in captivity don't have a lot of the same instincts. They don't have a lot of the same capacity as outdoor animals will. You'll find that a lot of snakes that are dumped in parks and things like that are found not far from where they were dumped, and usually in bad shape because they don't last long in those conditions. Cases. Some of them do, but you just have to take care. Be careful.
She is inside a locked enclosure, inside a locked shed, which has double door entry, where there is signage. If you look over here, we've got signage that has to be said. I have new signs being made, so they'll look a little more pro. But we have to have the Latin name on there. We have to have dangerous reptiles. So that's what the state asks for. That with what I do commercially, meaning for my business, for my job, between YouTube and education, I'm allowed to possess this animal. I'm only allowed to possess her. She has been grandfathered to me because she was under the conditional species permit. I'm only allowed to keep her. I can never replace her. When she dies, I can no longer obtain another Burmese python for education. So that's that. Oh, and how did I get her? Years ago, she was.
I actually don't know this story.
Because I had this conditional species permit. I always go for all my permits. I want to have the ability to always be legally able to possess these animals. I did a lot of work. I do and did a lot of work with Bush Wildlife Sanctuary, and they are, in need of people like me, because in addition to doing good work for Florida's native wildlife, they will sometimes get some non-native exotic reptiles, and I am on hand for them to help them get those animals out of any potentially dangerous situation, whether it be out in the environment or human animal conflict. So I have a permit that I maintained, the conditional species permit, and I was also and still am on their permit for emergency authorizations. What kind of mood you in, sweetheart? She's just eaten 2 rats, so I don't think she's looking for a handout. She's really good. This snake is pretty amazing. She's 13 foot long, so she was given to me, and I kept her, and that was going on almost 10 years ago now. Law changed. I got the new prohibited species permit. So here's what we're talking about today. You guys who are in the reptile world probably have heard all the news in the last couple of weeks about the Holy Thursday massacre, where Chris Coffey, who previously is a snake breeder and who kept reticulated pythons and Burmese pythons under the conditional species permit, was basically had been keeping his animals at the facility of a gentleman by the name of Bill McAdams. Fish and Wildlife came the Thursday before Good Friday. They came in and they killed, in a very heinous way, his reticulated pythons and his Burmese python, and they killed Bill McAdams' legal to own in the state of Florida, gravid 10-year-old female boa named Big Cheryl. Now, that in itself would have been horrible, to accidentally kill any animal. It's also heinous that they killed these pythons that were microchipped, on record with the state, and in locked cages. We're going to get to that story in a minute. But basically what they did was they accidentally killed Big Cheryl, Bill McAdams' boa constrictor, who had been gravid. Now, for those of you who know what gravid means, excuse this. This is
I'll let
for
him
people
explain.
that don't know. That means the snake was pregnant. Boa constrictors give birth to live young. The shells don't actually form while inside the snake. The snake holds the eggs in an egg sac inside its body. So it's not like the
I didn't
mother
even
is
know that
feeding
fully.
the baby snakes, but the mother is holding and protecting the baby snakes, and the baby snakes are being fed by their own individual yolks in a clear egg sac. They just never get an egg shell because the mother never deposits them into a nest. She just holds on to them, and it's a survival tactic. It's safer for them to be with the mother during their incubation period than to just be laid out in the world.
I did warn you
where
guys it's going to be a
potential
little
predators
graphic.
can get them. She was inadvertently and mistakenly killed by the 3 wildlife officers, which poses so many frustrating things. It brings to light so.
I mean, you can see even he had to fight hard to be nice and not call them jackasses and assholes, which is what they are, in my opinion. But even he's trying to hold back and be nice and be diplomatic. I am not for that. But you can see why this situation is not only graphic, but extremely frustrating and terrifying if you think about it. If they can ban any pet and then euthanize them in your home in front of you, then they can do the same to literally any other pet. So pit bulls, kittens, you name it. And they will apparently do so heartlessly, like these men did. Carelessly, even.
So many frustrating facts about this case. One, why were these animals being killed anyway? In February of 2022, 14 months prior to the massacre on the Thursday before Good Friday, Chris Coffey was visited at the facility by Fish and Wildlife. And you can check out Donnie's video at Nerd, at New England Reptile. He has the body cam footage of that. And it's an amazing thing to watch. They're basically coming in, and you can really see how Chris tried to do everything legally. He reached out to Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission and said, hey, listen, I'm trying.
Look, I'm not necessarily going to say I advocate for not going for permits and things like that. They can be useful, especially for commercial businesses like this. But as far as individual owners go, all I will say on the matter is that unless you tell them you have them, they don't know you have them. And that is all I will say on the subject, and I will go no further.
To comply with your new prohibited species mandates, I'm trying to get information. Not a lot of good information. There wasn't a good communication between Tallahassee and Chris about these new rules and what he was able to do and not do. But he did rehome over 100 of his snakes. He was able to liquidate most of his collection, but I do believe between the Burmese pythons and the reticulated pythons, there were 34 snakes left. So he contacted them because he knew he was running out of this 90-day grace period to possess these animals, and he wanted to do the right thing. So he called Fish and Wildlife. He called the authorities and said, look, guys, I need some more time. What do?
There's two things you could have done since you didn't liquidate by the end of July. Apply to be a public exhibitor, meaning you would have to have opened up, had business hours, money, like a pet shop almost.
I told you I would do that, but you couldn't give me the answer if I'm allowed to do that. I asked you if I could do that.
Here's the deal.
I asked you what I could do to continue to keep my snakes. When I've contacted your Tallahassee 15 times.
Okay.
I've left 15 messages. Nobody calls me back. And then when you called me, I asked you tons of
I'm going to assume
questions
that was
that
the
you said
officer's
you'd find
phone.
the answer for.
Okay.
Or the
I knew
inspector,
it
or whatever
needed
this
to
guy
stop.
is.
I stopped selling.
And Fish and Wildlife officers didn't really know what to tell him. There's a disconnect between the officers and Tallahassee.
We can't. Our hands are tied. Okay, we're not.
But I mean, it's not like I didn't do anything.
No.
I did all I could do.
Okay, your permits, your license that you applied for. I'm telling you right now, they're not being approved.
They cashed my check.
I didn't know either until.
See, that's what's fucked up about the
Yeah.
whole thing. Nobody knows. I've been calling and calling and calling.
I'm not
fucking very mad right now. I want to flip out.
Don't flip. Hey, we're not the
I
ones.
get it.
We're not
You
the
said
ones.
Not the
there's
ones.
boots on the ground. I get it, but you told me that.
See how
last
quick
time
they
you
are
said,
to
so I've been
assuage
calling
blame.
Tallahassee like crazy.
I am not against, I just want this to be known, I am not against law enforcement. I'm not.
I am not either, in normal
I do
circumstances.
think the officers in this particular situation screwed up royally, and they should be some repercussions because private property was destroyed and animals, which is the most
Poor
important
things.
thing, animals were killed, in my opinion, needlessly.
Not only needlessly,
so
but
there-
I would argue
there has to be
illegally
some
and
repercussions.
unethically.
There also need to be some repercussions in Tallahassee because what's going on, in my opinion, and the opinion of many animal lovers, is draconian. How can a man, Chris Coffey, who has been following the letter of the law for many, many years as a responsible snake keeper and breeder, all of a sudden now become a criminal?
I'm just upset that I try to do the right thing. I try to get in touch with your bosses. They won't call me back. They don't want to be involved with me. It's almost like they want you to fail so that this could happen right here that's happening.
You're being charged with the possession of the Burmese pythons and the reticulated pythons without a proper permit from Fish and Wildlife from the state of Florida. Okay.
I knew something was wrong, and you could have just been straight up with me.
Here's the thing: we don't usually tell people that they're going to get a ticket.
He was made a criminal after they changed this law. And he was trying to do the right thing to remain in the good graces of Fish and Wildlife by saying, listen, I've got these 34 snakes. I need more time. What can we do? They're here at my facility. Well, Fish and Wildlife came over. Instead of providing him with some solutions or working together, what they decided to do was cite him, turn him into a criminal, and they did what's called a constructive seizure of his animals. If you watch the body cam footage on Nerd's channel that Donnie put up, it's fantastic.
The whole thing about being arrested is or being charged is worse to me
I understand.
than that because I go through life making sure I do the right things and I don't get in trouble.
I understand.
And then
And
something like this happens.
with all these rules, things have changed from when you first got your. You noticed the change. There's always been a change.
I mean, you told me to do it. You know that I did. You know that. You were here. You documented. I had about 140
let me give you
snakes.
another example. All the green iguana tegu stuff, all permit holders that were commercial and sold, they've got a memo. They're not going to list.
I don't care about that. I'm
Yeah,
just
they're not-
telling
well, see,
you that
we're
you
not gonna
told me to
list.
liquidate them.
I mean, I care about that. That was also horrendously mishandled. but we're going into this current situation, and I'd recommend you do research on what happened with tegus. It was also fucking horrible.
I did.
They did.
I just
You
got
were-
stuck with these. I
Tallahassee-
wasn't able to get rid of them in the time frame. You said stop. I followed the law. I stopped.
Okay.
So I got this here.
Tell it to the judge.
What happens is he is now worried about his livelihood and his status as a citizen because now he is a criminal. He has been cited for a criminal activity. So Fish and Wildlife, after the
Mind you, he was just keeping and breeding pets. Legally, ethically, and this is how they're treating him. This is why so many people don't follow the law anymore. The law is not on your side. It's not on anybody's side. It's about making money.
outcry for the Holy Thursday massacre, after this outcry, their social media has been inundated with angry pet keepers, animal lovers, as it should be. This is the time to raise your voice and let it be heard constructively. Never threaten people.
I agree.
We don't
Never
wanna see
threaten
any of
anybody.
that. We want to see real change with the administrative effects of what Fish and Wildlife is doing. We need change there. Okay, I don't necessarily blame the good people wearing the uniform. I blame the people that don't know what a boa.
Yeah, I blame the bad eggs also, but I blame the good ones for not doing anything to stop it.
The difference between a boa and a python is. That's important. If you're going to enforce laws, you better know the species you have to enforce. It's
It
very,
is
very
grossly
important.
negligent that they did not.
And I would also hope that, we could work together. So FWC, in response to the immense outcry of animal lovers and even the mainstream media, USARK has been incredible with getting the word out about what's happening. And USARK has been fighting for reptile keepers' rights.
So USARK is, or USARK as some people prefer to pronounce it, is, it's like the NRA for pet keepers, especially reptiles.
Here in the state of Florida and also across the country. There's USARK and then there's USARK Florida, and they are engaged in an active lawsuit, and they have been ringing the warning bell since these regulations have been coming down the pipe, saying that something like this was going to happen. And guess what? It did. It happened. What they've been saying is 100% correct. So
Works the same way with gun control. Funny how that works, isn't it?
Fish and Wildlife, and I'm going to get back to USARK here in a little bit as well, but Fish and Wildlife put out a statement, and basically I'm paraphrasing the statement, but Fish and Wildlife said that they take the matter seriously. Okay, we're going to paraphrase. They take the matter seriously of the accidental killing of the legal boa constrictor. The thing that is misleading,
It's a murder, they just don't want that word,
is they said that Chris Coffey asked them to euthanize the invasive snakes. Now, a couple things wrong with that. Number one, reticulated pythons are not invasive in the state of Florida. There are no breeding wild populations of reticulated pythons here. So for them to say
That's true.
collectively that this is all invasive snakes is untrue. The Burmese python is. There were, I believe, he had.
Yep, Burms are very
6
much
of them in
invasive,
his
but
collection.
it's because the climate is so
Those could
similar.
be considered invasive,
Their natural climb.
but these were domestic, in my opinion. These were color morphs. These were not wild Burmese pythons. They were not animals that could survive in the wild. Buttercup could never survive in the wild.
It'd be highly
because,
unlikely, but I wouldn't say
obviously,
never.
She does not match. She does not have a cryptic color.
It is very
She is-
rare for albino animals of any kind, or leucistic even, to survive in the wild. It's not necessarily because there's anything wrong with them or because they're sick or anything. It's just because, like he's explaining now, their colors make them so bright that predators can always see them. It's impossible to hide. So I think he's correct in the sense that 99.9% of the times they are not going to survive, but I have seen albino animals of all varieties survive in nature, snakes included. So I wouldn't say it's never going to happen. It's just so unlikely that it's like finding a unicorn.
For all intents and purposes, a domestic animal. She has been bred selectively over many generations to get this color, as Chris Coffey's Burmese pythons have. Again, locked
Also
cages, microchipped, no escapes. These animals there was no escaped animals from his collection. Okay? Very important. So
That is
Fish and
very,
Wildlife
very
is being
important.
disingenuous when they say that. That's not true. And they're also, in my opinion, being a little bit disingenuous when they say that Chris Coffey relinquished these animals and wanted them to euthanize it. Chris Coffey was under extreme duress for his freedom. When they came there and they said, he's like, look, you can take these animals. He was scared of being arrested. He is the sole provider for his family. Being arrested, he's faced with an impossible decision. He loves his animals. They are his pets. Buttercup may be for commercial use, but make no mistakes, I love her. I enjoy her. I've spent thousands of dollars on her, as do all of us who love these animals. They may
Yeah,
not
they're
be a
not
cat,
cheap.
may
They have
not be a
very
dog or
specific
a
needs,
bird, but guess what? We love
and they're
them just the
expensive to
same.
feed unless you breed
We
your own
don't
food
love
sources.
them.
Even
We're
then,
fascinated by them. I love them. I don't want to see a bolt put through their head,
I
which
agree.
is what Fish and Wildlife did to over 30 animals in Chris Coffey's collection. Imagine
And they didn't even do it
seeing
correct
someone
in
take
all cases.
your dog or cat and kill it. I know it was horrible for me to bring my cat to be humanely euthanized. I was devastated when it was time for this animal to go. Can you imagine healthy animals being killed in that manner with a bolt gun to the head? And we'll get to that in a moment also. I just want to try and stay
Horrendous.
focused, guys. This is all
Absolutely medieval.
It's kind of stream of consciousness, what I'm talking about right now, because it's so raw, because we're all animal lovers. And we want to see these animals cared for in the right way. So for them to say that he gave them up, it was a seizure of the animals. They were seized from him. Then, to add insult to injury, he's got to keep them, he's got to feed them, he's got to care for them as he always has been, and he did it. And then after 14 months not hearing anything, of having his charges were dropped, I'm sure with great legal expense that he incurred, the charges were dropped to him. 3 Florida Fish and Wildlife officers came over under the guise that there was an escaped reticulated python in the area. So they went to his facility, to Mr. McAdams' facility where Chris Coffey kept his snakes. And they told him that they were going to euthanize those snakes. They even asked him to pull the first one out and hold it down. Can you imagine the trauma of...
I would like to point out that this is exactly equivalent to that story that circulated around the internet for a while about the guy whose family dog was to be brought out by him for the officers at the time, who wanted to cut its head off, and in fact ordered him to do it after they shot his dog in front of him. And they wanted to cut its head off and take it with them. So, very much similar circumstances. Very much should be major legal, financial, lifetime lasting repercussions. I mean, these guys fucked up bad, and they did some illegal shit, and they should go to jail.
Of holding one of your animals down that's trusted you. These animals build a trust. Do you think this animal trusts me right now?
Look, quite frankly, at this point, were I Chris Coffey, family man or not, I'd have been fighting to the death for the animals. Figuratively, literally, I'd have put my life on the line. I get why he didn't. Not everybody has that in them. Not everybody's built that way. I get that. Not his fault. I'm just saying.
She has got no ability to see well. And she is allowing me to stand here and talk to her and talk to you. This snake is not trying to hurt me. This snake is not trying to bite me. It has developed a trust. That's what's incredible. These animals rely on us.
They do
for their
develop that.
overall well-being. Their
A lot
health,
of animals,
their
when you
feeding,
handle them
all these
regularly,
things.
start to.
Okay? Anytime you get bit,
They
it's
realize
your
and
fault.
learn
It's
that you're
stinking
not a
identity.
predator and you're not
And
going to
they're
hurt them, so they will
right
allow
wing
you to
because
do
now
what
imagine
you need to
I
do.
had to grab this animal and hold her down while somebody from the state, okay, is putting a bolt through her head. And then, as if it's an assembly line of murder, they just take this animal, throw it aside, and move on to the next one and expect you to do that. It's like, it's just beyond disgusting, in my opinion, to ask the owner to do that.
It's beyond
And that's what
disgusting
was
to
asked
do
to
it
He
in
couldn't
general,
do it.
let
So he
alone
said, I
do
can't
that.
do this, okay? He put up a camera, his camera phone. He explained to the officers what animals were to be touched and what animals were not to be touched. Put the camera up. The camera was not hidden. It was not a hidden camera.
Yep.
The officers knew the camera was there. They then proceed to just go. They were there about 4 hours or so, just on an assembly line of murder, just killing these animals one after another.
Yep, and that's what it was. It was murder.
By their own rules and regulations.
Look, they were even gun shy with it. They didn't even know how to
did
use
not
the thing
follow
properly.
the procedure for using this bolt gun device. You're supposed to, in my understanding, you're supposed to anesthetize the animal. That was not done. The gentleman who was using the bolt gun never used it before.
Just pull. It's a safety, and then you just kind of bang on the top.
Yeah.
You'll hear.
Yeah, you don't have to hit it that hard, I think, because
No, you're fine.
Your palm is going to start to
Your
hurt.
palm's gonna hurt. Yeah.
So that, in my opinion, is not cool. You should have had some experience before you're going to kill that many animals. They hit it. The bolt goes down on the animal's head. They're then supposed to pith the brain. They're supposed to go through and scramble whatever's left of the brain in there, so that the
Could have done
animal
without that
is
image.
truly shut off, if you will. Well, they're in their zone. They're just tossing animals in garbages, and these animals are writhing around, still feeling the pain. As you know, reptiles have a primitive nervous system, and they feel pain. They don't die easy, which
No,
is why
they
you
don't.
can see reptiles,
Why snakes
crocodilians,
writhe around
turtles,
with their heads
lizards,
cut off.
snakes with incredible injuries on them. Incredible injuries. I'm talking like flesh ripped out, and they're still alive. They're incredibly.
That's why
tough
alligators and
animals.
crocodiles can have their
And
limbs ripped
believe
off and
it,
not
they
seem to
feel that
notice,
pain.
but
They're
they still
feeling
feel the
every bit of
pain.
it. So the officers going through, they were told not to touch the boa constrictor. There was a label. They went on, they grab out the boa constrictor, smash the animal's head, and that's when they realize, oh no, we screwed up. There's so many things wrong with this that there has to be a
Answer.
come to Jesus moment. Okay?
There needs to be
All
repercussions,
US
serious
Florida is
legal
trying to
repercussions.
do when they deal
And the
with
officers
fluorofishing
need to be held
wildlife.
accountable and face
Originally,
charges.
all we want to do is to have
For animal
real
cruelty,
communication between
among
those
other
in
things.
power and the reptile industry, and in bigger news, the pet industry here in Florida. Because we knew something like this was going to happen. USARK Florida said it. It has happened. It's a problem for Fish and Wildlife. This is a bad thing to have happen. It shows that there's no real professionalism there, and that these animals didn't need to be euthanized in that way, if at all.
At all.
So
They didn't need to be
basically,
euthanized at all, and shouldn't have been,
those are the
as far as the
facts
law
of
is
the
concerned.
case, as I understand them, as they've been presented in the media to me. I wanted to continue to shed light on this situation because
Unintentional
I don't
snake
want
pun,
this to
Jed.
just go away.
Light.
This can't just go away. Reptile and animal lovers are passionate people. We need to keep this passion going. But more than just typing on social media accounts, we need to have real action. USARK Florida needs your help. They need donations. They're in an active lawsuit against Florida Fish and Wildlife for the ruling about the Burmese pythons. There is an active lawsuit going
It's not
on.
enough.
If there's any good that
I
can come
encourage
out
anybody that
of the
watches
murder of
this
these animals, perhaps it will be that fish
to call Florida Fish and Wildlife relentlessly. Be peaceful, be passive, do it in protest, but do not let their phones stop ringing. Call and call again and again and again until you are heard, and then keep calling until they take action. That is what I would say. In a peaceful protest, tie up their phones entirely until this is resolved, and these officers are brought up on charge.
Fish and Wildlife in Florida take a good look at their procedures and their rules and regulations, and perhaps they'll work with us now. It's incredibly important that we do going forward. We don't want to lose the freedoms to keep these animals responsibly. We don't want to see other animals needlessly killed that are people's pets, cherished pets. I know it may be difficult for some of you to fathom that someone could love a snake. People do. I do.
There are people who
Since
don't
I'm 4
understand why
years
you can
old.
love a dog or a cat,
And
but that doesn't mean you can't.
anything else said, you know, if you're against snakes, that's fine. Imagine your dog or cat, hamster, something that you loved.
Just
being
a living
killed in that
creature
way.
in general.
Don't be prejudiced against animals. If you love animals, guess what? You love all animals. So it's important that, you know, I don't know what I'd do if someone came in here because of some administrative thing and kill Buttercup when she's a perfectly healthy animal. She's never hurt no one. She's in a locked cage, in a locked shed building, and she provides enjoyment for me. I provide for her. I spoke with Bill McAdams. We were actually supposed to visit him as I filmed this video, but unfortunately I'm not well. So I don't want to get anyone else sick, just Matt. And basically,
See, even in this situation, he
we're
can
gonna
make a
do that
joke.
next week. We're
That's
gonna
what I
go
respect
visit
about
and
him.
hear from him how he feels. But he did inform me that Chris Coffey may not want to go on camera because Chris is traumatized by what's happened.
I can't blame him. I would be too.
Overwhelmed with grief. He's depressed.
Nobody
He
better call that
feels,
man and hurt his feelings. Don't
bullied,
understand. Leave him
and
be. Call Fish
I
and
don't
Wildlife.
blame
Direct
him.
your fury response.
It's scary when the state can come into your home or come into your place of
Call your senators
business
even.
and
Call your congressmen. Call
do
their
something
congressmen.
as horrific as that.
And send.
Especially, listen,
Don't let this fade away.
especially if this man was trying to do the right thing, which he was. You know, we have to remember we're all people, okay? He wasn't a criminal. He's a guy that loved snakes and was trying to do the right thing. And basically what he did was he rehomed over 100 of them. You mean to tell me there's no human beings in Tallahassee that could kind of give this guy a little bit more time? There's no way to do that. I think there are ways to do that. I think we need to see the human side here as well. We need to be more human because we need to, you may not be able to see yourselves in a snake. Some of us, you may think they're so far removed from humanity. Like, you know, you look at a dog, oh my God, you can see interaction. You can see the face muscles. You can see a dog smile. You can see the expression in its eyes.
Personification.
Yes, you can see that.
I can see that in snakes too.
That, I think it's
Spend enough time with
Anthony
anything,
said at work,
any
that
animal, you'll
we
see
put ourselves into our
parts of
animals.
yourself in it.
You can't really see that in a turtle, in a crocodile,
I beg to differ.
in a snake or a lizard. But isn't it amazing?
Especially
human
his is
beings
lizard
truly
Slinky.
are the top
The giant
intelligence
animal.
for
Beautiful.
the
Definitely
animal
watch some
kingdom.
videos on his channel to find out about
That
Slinky.
we have the ability to empathize, that we have the ability
Back.
to look at a snake.
That's a little picture of Slinky. Slinky is ginormous. That, I think, is Kennan's actual. Not got small hands. This is a large man. He has large hands. That animal is just very big. Very
and
gorgeous
marvel at
animal.
it
Very,
instead of being
very nice.
repulsed, you know, or look at it in revulsion. And I think it's up to us to use our humanity in a good way, and really appealing to the humanity of the people that are watching this video and to the people in Tallahassee. I want the people who watch this video to call your state senators. Go to USARC on their Instagram page, on their YouTube channel, on this channel. We're going to have in the description how you can get in touch with them. They have in their bios on their social media, USARC Florida. Follow them on social media. They are
Call
the
them,
tip
see what you
of
can do to
the
help,
spear
if anything.
for this fight.
And
They are
make sure
really,
you call
truly
Florida
fighting
Fish and
for us.
Wildlife.
They need your donations. They need you to call your state
Send
senator if you
letters.
live in Florida. They
Even
need
if you don't
to
live in Florida,
come
call your own. Make sure it
join
doesn't
me
happen in
and
your own
them
state.
and all reptile lovers and animal lovers. Because guys,
All
ain't
Florida's
stopping
too,
with snakes.
even if you don't live
They're
there.
going after fish,
They are public
birds,
servants.
small
Anybody can call them.
mammals. They're going after anything that is exotic. Okay? Very, very important that you join us the 10th and 11th of May 2023 in Miami, the Blue Lagoon. There's going to be an address that we'll have for you to join us. I will be there. I'm going to speak. Fish and Wildlife needs to hear our voices and see that we are not just people that are going to let them take away our animals, that we're going to fight for our animals. We love our animals, and we love Florida. We love the natural resources here in Florida. And owning a snake doesn't mean you're destroying the environment. These are domesticated animals, captive animals.
Sort of domesticated.
Very important that you
but yes, domesticated nonetheless.
I've talked a long time, and it's very important. I hope you guys watch this whole video, and I hope you guys come away with
even cats can't fully be domesticated. They're still wild at heart.
For these animals and the way we feel about them.
So snakes are about as domestic as a cat.
Chris Coffey's GoFundMe. All those links are going to be in the description. Thank you for listening, if you've listened this far, and I'll see you in May 10th and 11th in Miami at the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commissioners meeting.
Anybody that can go should go. Alright, now that we've covered that, I am going to spend a moment here, and then I will reshare the screen. Finding the contact information. Okay, well, they don't have a formal number listed. So, this is what they have listed. This is their website, ifwc.com. You can go here to /contact at that website, and they have a contact form. They also have the ability to send a text to this email address, which is what that is. You can actually text an email address if you didn't know that. And then you can also use these as well. Use any contact form you can here. Contact them. Let them feel your displeasure. But be nice. Do not harass. Do not do anything illegal. But definitely call, and definitely make yourselves heard. You can also call this number, which I didn't even see until now because my ADHD makes me skip sentences. Call that number. Use these. Use this. In fact, as you know, part of this, I'm going to go to their contact form, and I'm going to submit contact myself, and we will be heard. So, give me a moment. I'm going to quickly contact them. I can show my contact details because nobody wants to see that. And the ones that do don't need to see that. Send in a complaint. There is an option under County of Residence. You can select Other if you are not a resident of Florida. I'm gonna put Other for the category. Won't pick a subcategory because we picked Other for category. And we are going to title subject here. God damn it, I can never spell the word guarding. Does the fucking Grammarly thing activate anymore? No. Ah, fuck, I can't spell the word. Oh well. It's part of my AD. Okay. They know what it is. Oh, that's the word regarding. Fixed. Alright, so far what I have typed, and I'm going to continue typing, and I will fill you in every so often. I have typed, "Hello, I am a content creator and member of the media using my rights to contact and express my revulsion and confusion regarding the crimes committed by the Florida Wildlife Commission in this incident. They are clearly committed on video acts of abuse against animals via improper and illegal killing of the animals in question. I and many others want to know what action charges will be taken / placed against the individuals in question. Also, requesting information requesting information as to why this was allowed. I also requesting I'm reading. What do I request? Come on, thoughts, please reorganize. We are doing something good here. Come on. Formal. God, I hate that word. Um, oh, I spelled the first one. Cool. Okay, here's what I have put. Hello, I'm a content creator and member of the media using my rights to contact and express my revulsion and confusion regarding the crimes committed by the FWC in this incident. They clearly committed on video acts of abuse against animals via improper and illegal killing of the animal in question, which, my knowledge, is felony because it is illegal federally to abuse animals. Therefore, it would be a felony if, in fact, they are found guilty. So that is necessary to add. I and many others want to know what action and charges will be taken / placed against the individuals in question. I also am requesting information as to why this was allowed. I am also requesting a formal apology from FWC for the incident addressed public for the violation of their trust. Abuse power. Abuse of the power the public has bestowed upon. I am, and so are a lot of others, urging people to contact USARC their website sucks. To their rights, join in fight for them, and you guys for more information and to express their feelings politely and legally so that we can be sure this never happens again, nor do any other acts of its nature which are abominable, unethical, inhumane, illegal, and unconscionable. Half of that's not misspelled correctly, they'll have to figure it themselves because I am dyslexic and other things. There's a checkbox for requesting a rule change, so we are going to actually go ahead and add our requesting. Also, yeah, change to policy and law to unban legal ownership of this type and eggs and others of reptiles. Also request official kind pertaining to questions. Apologize Spelling. I am and oh, he's changing because of that to because of those disabilities. And I'm going to add hope that full arm of law is used in reprimanding and punishing those responsible, and I hope that the good cops don't suffer for their negligence and unethical hope this finds health. Urge you prevent these things in all possible since clearly failed so and just because I'm paranoid and things have happened in the past, I'm going to quickly copy everything I left in that bubble before I send this, just to be sure. Submitted. Cool. We have a reference number. All right. So the reference number is W174087-02, oh, sorry, 042723 in reference to the request I just submitted. So I urge you guys to do that, and I'm also going to go ahead real quickly here, pull up USARC's website, and I would urge that anybody and everybody also contact USARC about what you can do to help, and about the incident in question to see what more can be done. Highly urge that you do stuff, especially if you have reptiles as pets or know somebody who does, or may want to in the future, or even just care about making sure people can legally have pets. Because make no mistake, if they come for one animal, they will come for them all. They will eventually go for the throat, and they will try to take your dogs, your cats, your horses, pigs, your chickens, all of it. They will take everything because they want, and because they know they can. Remind them that that is not the case, and that they cannot. USARC and groups like them are dedicated to preventing that. So join USARC as a member, join the NRA, join various different groups, take part, do your part, do not be silent. Make your voice heard, because it is important. And this is their website here. And yes, for those curious, that is what you think it is. That is because I am a content creator. I occasionally have to log in and check on the content that I have created. Not much there yet, but I'm working. That is all I will say on them. And you can see right here that there are more in different states, even. See? One right here for Washington, I live. There's plenty for all kinds of places. I urge you, please, please, please continue to follow this. And continue to support USARC and support others like them in their fight for what's right. Now, that has been covered and things have been done. I am going to stop stream for a few minutes. I'm going to upload to YouTube as fast as I can the video of this stream, and I'm going to update the tags and things and make it public. And then I will begin streaming again shortly here. Probably for Call of Duty, I could use the offlet of aggression and stress. We shall see if we can. Try and see if Fee is available or anyone else that wants to join. So remind you, get up, do some self-care. I'm going to as well. And remember, as always, chat, don't forget to love each other. And in this case, don't forget to fight for what's right. Even if no one else stands with you, stand up for what you want. Because sometimes, right's all you got. And sometimes, you don't stand up for it, you're wrong. Peace, love, and little donut, guys.